Hello, Jordan Chariton live. Status Coup Wednesday, October the 1st, 2025 in the United Corporations of America, where the President of the United States has declared war on the enemy within, whatever that means. The radical leftist Antifa terrorist in his mind or under his toupee. It is dangerous times, Zaina. Joining me, the great Zaina Day, with the wonderful necklace and earrings, looking quite majestic. I would say today, and elegant, shall I say. But Zaina, it is really scary what's going on, both the footage we are getting on the ground in Chicago from the tear gassing and the snipers, Border Patrol snipers, ICE snipers shooting at unarmed protests and journalists from a roof. We'll show you that. There's also
can't see stuff.
Yeah, horrifying images they threw in New York City at the federal immigration courthouse where we have been. We've been there and covered craziness. They threw a photographer out of an elevator yesterday, threw him to the ground. He was hospitalized. You have them chasing just random Americans in the street, injuring. I mean, it's one thing after the other. And you have essentially yesterday, the president and his secretary of defense, who was a Fox News anchor 5 minutes ago, basically vowing to have or telling the military, you are to break international law, break domestic law, and essentially crack down on Americans we don't like. I mean, and that normally that would be the number one story, but you also have the government is now shut down, which we talked about on Monday. I'm actually for the Democrats shutting down the government, but I'm not for their strategy, which of course is not to actually offer the American people anything, just to say, Trump, fascist, vote for us, which is not going to work. It's not going to work. So we're going to get to some of our stuff. Our new reporter, JT Seskowski, who's doing God's work. He's out in Chicago with John. They were just live a couple hours ago interviewing former Congressman Marie Newman, who said some interesting things. She's used to represent Illinois. She's actually calling for a general strike to oppose Trump and stop this madness. And we're also going to go through that alarming footage where Trump's Border Patrol and ICE agents threw down a veteran, a U.S. Air Force veteran, to the ground, attacked him, and is now charging him with assaulting them. So there's a lot to get to. I don't even know where to start. And you sent this to me earlier. As we cover all this, there's breaking news because another Gaza aid flotilla is now being intercepted. If you could briefly, we'll get into that more later, but if you could briefly update people on that.
Yeah, there's more than 46 ships from almost 80 countries that joined the flotilla. One of the ships is actually carrying U.S. veterans, and the Israeli government has now started intercepting these ships because they're at the verge of entering what is considered legally internationally Palestinian waters. To board these vessels. And apparently several vessels have already been boarded as of an update 10 minutes ago. So
we'll have more on that in a little bit. Let's start. I didn't know where to start, but I want to start with the government shutdown because obviously it's going to affect people. 750,000 government employees expected to be furloughed today, which obviously is horrible. You and I talked the other day and said, listen, there's going to be short-term pain, but I don't think at this point, if you're going to be a real opposition party, I don't think you could negotiate with a dictator. I don't think you could normalize what's going on, which is brazenly breaking every law. I mean, America doesn't really have a legal system for all people. It's one for wealthy white people, one for what's left of the middle class, and one for Black, brown, indigenous, minorities. But now they're just breaking the law for everyone. Okay. So I don't think the Democrats, whatever their reason is, they say it's because of the Obamacare subsidies that the Republicans are going to get rid of. whatever. They should not normalize the illegal dispatching of ICE, National Guard, Border Patrol in American cities. That on its own is a reason to shut down the government. Obviously, some might perceive it as a privileged perspective for me to say, yeah, people are going to experience pain, but, it's better than normalizing fascism. I'm saying that, yes, people are going to experience pain, but they're experiencing pain anyway. AI is laying off people's jobs. Trump is gutting Medicaid with the government open. Trump and the Republicans are gutting Obamacare, which I'm not for, but is better than, SOL healthcare. And they're basically just creating an economic Hunger Games with or without the government shutdown.
There's nearly a 30% underemployment rate right now. 30%, which is unprecedented. This goes back to Depression era numbers. So we're already feeling it. There has to be a stopgap.
Absolutely. So I want to get to this because I watched, my baby, my newborn, he's 5 months old, River. He's usually up at like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., but today he gave me till 6 o'clock. So he woke up at 6. So I'm feeding him and I put Morning Joe on, which might be considered child abuse, but I shielded his eyes because I don't want him to have to be exposed to this Morning Joe. But I was watching it and I honestly, Zaina, it's hard to know if these people are just fucking morons or they know what the answer is and they're just paid to ignore it. But they were talking about the government shutdown, and Jennifer Palmieri, who was Hillary Clinton's communications director, longtime Democratic, establishment party lifer. She worked for Obama administration, Hillary's campaigns, etc. She had a brilliant idea, which was the Democrats should shut down the government, and not over immigration, not over Trump's illegal acts, but over health care. Okay. Sounds reasonable, right? Let's play. We're going to start and stop here. But you tell me, Zaina, if this argument, maybe they're missing the trees. Is it the forest for the trees or the trees for the forest? I always get it wrong.
I'll go with both.
All right. Let's play this Morning Joe clip.
That shutdowns don't matter the way they used to. This is going to be a blip. But what it has given Democrats the opportunity to do is have a fight on the issue that no one talks about. Donald Trump never talks about people's health care. Republicans don't talk about people's health care. People are worried about their health care. Shine a light on the fact that their premiums are going to go up. A lot of people are going to lose their coverage. That is all because of the Republicans. And the Democrats are offering an alternative. There is a chance that Donald Trump.
Did you hear that, Zaina?
They are? That's news to me.
And before anybody gets their panties in a twist, because you're going to have some MSNBC refugees in the chat. We do have MSNBC refugees. And that's men and women, by the way, in the panties in the chat. That's a multi-gender statement. They don't like, they're like, Jordan, don't criticize the Democrats right now. Trump's a fascist. Well, how do we get the fascist? How do we get this fascist? From shit like this, which I'm about to show you. So she says, Democrats have an alternative. So I'm excited, Zaina. I'm excited to hear
what this is.
This alternative.
Oh, Jordan, before we listen to this, just for anyone that doesn't know, I helped lead the Medicare for All movement. So I'm extremely curious to hear what comes out of her mouth next.
Okay, here we go.
We'll take them up on that, too, because the Democrats didn't pick a fight around the shutdown on an issue where Trump has an advantage. OK, so they picked an issue that they had the advantage, where Trump probably should want to solve this problem. And even if it doesn't end well, I don't think there's going to be a lasting I don't think there's going to be an impact from that politically over the long term. And they've made this healthcare a big fight and show people we're trying to do something to improve your lives. And I think that's a huge credibility issue for Democrats that has been. And now they can prove who they're fighting for and that they may actually deliver something. And a lot of times.
Have you heard the alternative yet?
No. No,
Okay.
I have not.
Okay. We're about, I think, a minute and a half in. So I'm sure she's getting to the big alternative plan to help as Americans who are suffering now, either losing their government jobs, losing services. They are waiting on bated breath for the Democratic alternative that they could vote for in about a year from now in the midterm elections, but also in about a month from now, because you got big governor's elections in Virginia and New Jersey. Mm-hmm. We're waiting for that alternative from Hillary Clinton's spokesperson.
People are like, don't give them a win. Don't give the Republicans a win. Keep the issue alive for 2026. The issue, healthcare will be an issue in 2026. If you can show you can deliver for people, I feel like that kind of helps get over some of the cynicism people have about government not working, Democrats being only about complaining about Trump.
So, Allie, as you know, covering the story every minute of every day up on Capitol Hill, for Democrats, despite what we hear from the president and others, this is not about giving health care to illegal immigrants. It's about extending these subsidies. And if they are not extended under Obamacare, as Jen just laid out, a lot of people are going to lose their coverage, and the premiums will go way up for people who remain with that coverage. So what is the strategy as we sit here now a few hours into this shutdown from Democrats? Where do they go from here?
I love Morning Joe for so many reasons, and not just because I get to be a part of this family, but because in the last few minutes, you guys have distilled all of the various talking points that I've heard on every side of this debate. There are people who agree with Joe and Chris who say Democrats are about to launch into a messaging war when the central complaint about Democrats for the last year plus has been that they have a messaging problem. I hear that. On the other side, I do hear what Palmieri is talking about, which is the idea that this is probably the right fight for Democrats to pick. I had Congresswoman Debbie Dingell on my show this morning talking about the fact that, yes, there are concerns about what could happen in a government shutdown, the kind of things that Trump is already previewing, that he's going to fire federal workers, which is not what we do in shutdowns. Typically, those are temporary.
I'm still waiting. Have you heard what they're fighting? What they're fighting for?
I haven't heard a single policy discussed in this entire.
Well, the air quotes policy is they're fighting to protect the Obamacare subsidies and people healthcare going up because Republicans are are cutting or not renewing Obamacare subsidies. But that's not a policy that they're fighting for. That's just trying to maintain the not working status quo. I'm waiting for, to fight. She pledged voting for, giving people something to vote for, showing people we're fighting for something. Still waiting. We got about a minute left.
Furloughs, not permanent firings, that he's going to make Democrats really feel the pain of making a decision like this. Okay, Democrats acknowledge that, but they also acknowledge and deeply feel that there has already been so much damage done, and that on healthcare specifically, this is one of the key places that people are already feeling the pain. And so Democrats want to have that fight. That's also what their grassroots groups are telling them. They are being shown poll after poll after poll that when they ask voters what they care about, what part of their life has been most impacted by the actions of Republicans in the Trump administration, that health care comes up as the top issue time and again.
Can I just say, Zaina, and I love this comment, by the way, they just said work on the message without saying the message, a viewer wrote. I don't know about her, the woman I don't know what her what her demographic is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 wealthy, out of touch, white assholes. Wealthy. This should be like a meme here. This screenshot here, especially Chris Matthews, that creep who used to be an MSNBC anchor. They're sitting here talking about the Democrats have a messaging problem. The Democrats need to pick this fight to go against Trump and the American people on their side without actually offering anything. Yep. Here's what is forget whether you agree with it or not, which the majority of Americans do. You sent me the data. Thank you. You know what a great fucking winning strategy would be right now? You know what? We shouldn't allow the Republicans or frankly any administration to play around with healthcare premiums. So let's just get rid of healthcare premiums. We're proposing Medicare for all, folks. The highest category of bankruptcy in America, the most common bankruptcy, is medical bankruptcy. With AI, AI is now denying more people, or companies are now denying more people claims because of AI. So we are going to fight in this short term government shutdown to protect the Obamacare subsidies so people's premiums don't rise. Right now, they could range from 20 to 50%. But at the same time, we're proposing for the governor's races right now, midterms, and 2028. If we retake power in the House and Senate, we'll stop Trump. And then if we retake power in 2028, we are, as a party, pushing for Medicare for all. You would
absolutely
crush the governor's elections. You would crush the presidential election. That's how you stop fascism. Because
you can retake back state houses.
Yeah. And the great Zana Day sent me the poll. Sorry, I don't have it on the screen because I sent Colin a lot of shit last minute. I mean, the latest surveys, 59% of Americans support Medicare for all, oppose 27%, 14% not sure. So it's really higher than 59%. Because I bet you within that 14% not sure, if asked in a certain way, you'd probably be closer to 70% support.
That's right. And I know that for a fact. I did a tremendous amount of polling when I worked the angle of Medicare for all when I was at Brand New Congress. We were calling people on a regular basis, and I was having those direct conversations. And depending on how you have those conversations, most people support some kind of universal healthcare system. They see insurance companies as flawed. They see our current system as broken. And this was one of the things that was most important for them. And this is back in 2018 through 2022. People care about this issue, and most people overall, and most of my research, all of the polling that I've uncovered through the years, all show exactly what this YouGov poll from July of this year is showing.
But let me say the rest. 64% supporting it make less than $50,000 a year. So that would be the working class, including a lot of Trump's base. A lot of Trump's base make $50,000 or less. Democrats, 85% support it. Only 7% oppose. Republicans, 34% approve, 50% oppose, 16% not sure. Again,
34% of Republicans even support this.
Right, but I'm saying within that, then you have 60% not sure. So if asked a certain way, I bet you get close to 50% even among Republicans. Yep. And then independents, 57% approve. So you're sitting here on national television, and I know, somebody said in the chat, "Oh, Status Coup makes us watch retirement home TV." That's true, and we love our retirees because we have some older viewers too, as part of the Status Coup community. But with that said, how do you have these people are paid to predict politics, to analyze politics? They're sitting there, basically ignoring the gaping elephant in the room, which is, hey. People's top issue in all the polls are healthcare, the economy. Some polls, it's just straight healthcare. So maybe instead of saying fighting for what you're trying to save, which is shitty fucking subsidies for an unaffordable system, yeah, it'll help in the short term, not make it worse to protect these Obamacare subsidies. But why don't we just say, fuck it all? Our healthcare shouldn't be tied to employment because employment is now being gutted because of AI and other horrible things. If your employment is gutted, you're fucked because Medicaid is being cut. So if you lose your employment, you lose your health care, and you don't even have the Medicaid backstop as significantly anymore because Medicaid's being cut. So for all these reasons, we are at the point now we have to propose Medicare for all. They would win in a fucking landslide, but they won't do it because, as Bernie Sanders once said, they would rather go down on the Titanic as long as they remain in first class drinking their champagne.
Yeah, and there's a very important element to that, and that is that the ACA was originally written by the Heritage Foundation, which it was changed slightly, but it started out as Romney Care. It was written by the Heritage Foundation.
Your dog agrees.
They do. They're very passionate about this. In order and in an effort to privatize what public healthcare system we had. So I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember being able to go to clinics and get everything done from eye care to your teeth to getting cancer screenings. 1,200 of those clinics closed down across the country because of the ACA. Our public healthcare system that we had at the time was completely gutted, and everything was turned over to the hands of the insurance company. It was a full-on privatization of our Medicare, Medicaid, and healthcare system. And it's been problematic ever since. We've seen United Healthcare deny 85% of claims at least. And many of those claims are Medicare and Medicaid claims that were going through United Healthcare under the government umbrella. So the privatization of our public healthcare system we had obviously didn't work. So that needs to be thrown in the dustbin. And we need something new now, not tomorrow.
It's just remarkable to me because put aside like the morality and the common sense of it all, which would be Medicare for all, just from a pure bare knuckles political strategy perspective, if you want to win, it's so fucking obvious that the way to defeat fascism, the way to defeat this kind of megalomania, strongman politics is to offer bold, progressive populism, which is, healthcare for all these things that we champion. And that's how you defeat fascism. And their plan is to basically offer to save the shitty status quo that created the fascism. Let me repeat that.
Klein model. It's the Ezra Klein model.
Holy shit.
Like just bullshit around like Kamala Harris did. Don't have any really strong policies and then just hope by the seat of your pants because the fascism is so bad that they're going to vote for you instead. How many times have we seen this fail, Jordan? How many times have we covered them doing this exact strategy and for how many years and how many times have they failed over and over and over again?
Just to take a quick detour, because we have a lot to get into, I want to get into Ezra Klein. I was thinking about doing a video on it, but then I was like, nah, we're on the ground and I want to focus on our on-the-ground coverage. I recently turned 39 years young, and I drank a little too much on my birthday. I had like 3 beers, a couple of whiskey shots, and I can't handle alcohol anymore, and I was like hungover for 3 days. That hangover feeling was nothing compared to watching Ezra Klein and Ta-Nehisi Coates. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that.
Yep.
Like you mentioned it to me, so I watched it. How these people fail upward in America is beyond me. Ezra Klein is the most self-indulgent, self-important, moronic, kind of granular thinking, privileged snot who knows nothing about nothing I have ever seen in my life. And
he's confidently wrong. He's like a Matthew Iglesias, if you guys know who that is. A very confidently wrong analyst who isn't even looking at numbers. He talked to Ta-Nehisi Coates. He said that people should run in Nebraska as pro-life. But if you look at the statistics in Nebraska, pro-life only has 13% approval rating. He's just assuming that it's popular there because people have voted Republican because it's kind of an abandoned state and Democrats aren't really running there. So his whole assumption is since people vote Republican in certain elections, then they all must be a monolith and they all must support pro-life, which is very ignorant. It's very monolithic. No. It's an adolescent politic. It's adolescent.
Right. It's just, I will never do that to myself again. I'm not watching anything Ezra Klein says.
I have an article coming out that's titled Ezra Klein is the worst. So that'll be out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's worse than a hangover listening to him. I also want to show Nancy Pelosi. Boy, she got triggered. She's no longer the speaker, but she's still kind of like, the queen bee of the Democratic Party. But I guess, some are saying, or AOC said something that made it seem like Republicans should negotiate with her to end the government shutdown. So Pelosi was asked about that. Well, she did not like being asked about AOC and the thought that AOC might have some power here. Play that.
There was a thought from the Republicans that AOC is directing this, and she said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she driving that?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing?
I'm just quoting what AOC said. She said go to her office directly. Do you think there's any credibility to that?
She's not directing this. She's wonderful. She's a real team player and the rest of that. You started by saying Republicans saying that she's directing this. She is not. Hakeem Jeffries is. And this takes a lot of experience, a lot of unity from the caucus in terms of the point of view. And that's what this is. She's an articulate spokesperson for her point of view, Hakeem Jeffries.
Yes, Hakeem Jeffries, who still won't endorse Zohran Mamdani, the wildly popular progressive candidate in New York City, whose first trip after Trump beat Kamala Harris was to Silicon Valley to win back the billionaires that the Democratic Party lost. That was the lesson Hakeem Jeffries took, who takes God knows how much money from AIPAC. He's leading the fight. Yeah. Anyway, not much more to add other than I get it. I get it.
They're more worried. What sticks out to me about that is they're more worried about maintaining their positions as some sort of influence and leaders, and their marching orders, their hierarchy within the Democratic Party, this fake bullshit, than they are actually defeating and handling fascism. That's what that was to me. Because otherwise she should be like, yes, that's part of our team. Call her offices. I appreciate her standing out in this. But instead, she had to go in and be like, I want to remind you who the leader of the Democratic Party is. That's where these people's heads are. It's not on protecting us from ICE. It's not on protecting us from fascism. It's maintaining their dumbass hierarchical, positions of influence that they think they have.
Absolutely. And I think her focus is more on which insider trades she's going to make within the next 15 minutes, and her refrigerator of gourmet ice cream. Thank you, Star Child. By the way, let's go. We need some super chats here. Sign up as a paid member. We're about to show you more of our independent, on-the-ground reporting from Chicago. We are the leading independent outlet on the ground, covering what the corporate media covers up. We now have a QR code, if you could put that back up, for all the fancy tech people. So you could put your phone, tablet, whatever you got, up to that QR code, and that will bring you right to our membership page to join as a paying member. We need to grow more paying members if we're going to stay out there covering what at this point, let's use the F word, is the fascist takeover of America. It's really ugly out there. There's not enough journalists out there. When there are journalists out there, as John Farina can tell you, we're in the trenches getting tear gassed. We're in the trenches showing you the Border Patrol, ICE illegally attacking protesters, unarmed protesters, veterans, illegally attacking journalists, while the actual corporate journalists are all the way in the back. They're not doing anything. So if you can, support us, because there's a whole lot of channels out there, the Brosphere, hot takers, influencers, commentators. Some of them I like, most of them I don't. They're not exact.
And Republican Party shills who are getting paid by the party to peddle partisan propaganda.
They're not exactly in the trenches, showing you what's going on. We cover the LA ICE raids. Tina Desiree Berg did great reporting for us. She got shot by a rubber bullet. We, as part of that, sued with the LA Press Club to stop the LAPD from shooting at journalists and people, and we won an injunction. That was our lawsuit with the LA Press Club. We've also covered the ICE terrorism in New York City. We went down to Florida to cover the ICE torture camp known as Alligator Alcatraz. We've covered the National Guard invasion in D.C. All of this costs a lot of money, and we are not funded by United Healthcare. We are not funded by Goldman Sachs. We are not funded by AIPAC. We are not funded by the remaining Koch brother or the Waltons or Soros or any of these fuckers. Our funding comes from you. So please, 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 sorry to keep clapping. Support us. StatusCoup.com/run. I'm going to keep it real. I spoke with Renee, who helps us crunch the data. Last month, we lost members, which I'm not surprised, because people are hurting. People are hurting right now economically. So we gained members, but we lost more than we gained because people have to cancel because they're losing their jobs or whatever. No shame at all. If that's you, if you had to cancel, whatever. But if we're going to keep the lights on, if we're going to be out there covering this stuff, not just like fake neutral robot journalists, but like real guerrilla journalism, we need more people to sign up at $5 a month. That's 16 cents a day. StatusCoup.com/join. I'll shout out all the new members. Real quick, before we get to the next topic, I want to point out, as we expected, with the government shutting down now, Trump is unleashing his hounds to just do brazenly illegal things. I mean, it's not even like there's no gray area here. They're just doing illegal shit. So this is Russ Vought. He is one of the architects of Project 25. He basically he's like think of Reagan on steroids in terms of like draining government so small into the bathtub. So they are now stripping New York City of $18 billion. So he tweeted roughly $18 billion in New York City infrastructure projects have been put on hold to ensure funding is not flowing based on unconstitutional DEI principles. So that includes the 2nd Avenue subway, which is much needed in New York City, and a tunnel project to connect New Jersey and New York City. They're basically cutting that because the Democrats had the gall to shut down the government, to stop Trump and the Republicans from increasing your health care by 20 to 40%. That's how much premiums were going to go up.
And I want to remind people that the end of DEIA, accessibility. So some of what they are holding this infrastructure projects on is the fact that there's accessibility mandates for people with disabilities for some of the public infrastructure, basic things like sidewalks for people in wheelchairs.
It's crazy. Chris Murphy tweeted out about this. I thought he's right. The senator, let's open our eyes. This isn't a functioning democracy any longer. When in the middle of a high stakes funding fight, the president illegally suspends federal projects in states run by Democrats as a way to punish the political opposition. I want to be clear here, and we don't have enough time for this, but we should talk about this another time, Zaina. We have to focus on the word illegal because Trump's not an idiot, right? I think he's 80 years old. Trump's not an idiot. I've been pointing out, Zaina, and we've talked about it, I don't think he's joking about serving a 3rd term.
No.
Part of that is I think he wants to stay in office like a king. But the other part is I think he knows that like they're doing things that are illegal that once he's out of power, sure, the Supreme Court, said he could shoot someone on 5th Avenue and it won't matter. But if there's some kind of balancing out of the law, he could be at least civilly liable for some of these criminal acts, potentially criminally liable for some of these criminal acts him and his administration have done. So a lot of the things he's doing are blatantly illegal. And I don't even know if the Supreme Court would have his back on some of them because I don't even know what mental gymnastics or legal gymnastics they could pull to cover for things that are just very clearly illegal, like the birthright citizenship, trying to pull that, like, trying to coerce broadcast networks into getting rid of, comedians you don't like. I mean, all these things.
We have to remember that in fascist governments, they will do everything they can to legalize the oppression.
Yes.
They will jump through hoops to legalize or to normalize it to the point that you no longer consider legality.
Which is
and
why
I think that they're doing both of those things right now.
But that's my point. That's why the fascist wants to stay in office forever, because if the fascist is removed, not that the Democrats are knight in shining armors, but there might be some legal retribution or legal process to try and hold those accountable. Also point out, this same hooligan, Russ Vogt, just canceled $8 billion in climate funding to the following states: California, Colorado, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, all democratically controlled states. So the only illegal things they're doing are to hurt democratic states, which is ironic considering the government welfare overwhelmingly benefits red states. Government welfare overwhelmingly benefits red states. And I don't even care, red, blue, people who need government support should get government support. But they're basically
states aren't monoliths either. We've covered here multiple times the abandonment of the 50-state strategy by the Democrats is why a lot of these states appear to be red when they aren't. Just as we showed you with, a majority of people supporting Medicare for all.
Absolutely.
So, but he is going after what he sees as political opposition. It's a chilling effect. Sorry, Jordan, go ahead.
And before we move on to our coverage in Chicago, one last thing. A Reagan appointee judge, he wrote a blistering ruling that Trump basically illegally targeted pro-Palestinian students. Judge William Young, a Reagan appointee, delivered the most scathing legal rebuke of the Trump era, ruling that Trump and his cabinet illegally targeted pro-Palestinian students for deportations to quote, strike fear into First Amendment protesters. So if we're caught up on all the illegal acts of the last 24 hours, let's get to on the ground the illegal acts that are terrorizing First Amendment protesters exercising their First Amendment, veterans, journalists. So we're in Chicago because Trump has dispatched his goons in Chicago. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this clip. I want to play it and react to it. Our cameraman, John Farina, and our new reporter, JT Siskowski, captured this outside the Broadview ICE Detention Center the other day. It's about 13 miles from Chicago. This is where on Saturday night, you had ICE and Border Patrol agents firing at from sniper positions above the roof, pepper balls at protesters. John reported that protesters were vomiting in mass because of the tear gas, the pepper smalls, the chemical munitions fired on protesters was so thick, it was causing people to vomit. Not to mention the rubber bullets being shot at protesters, stun grenades. By the way, reminder, tear gas was outlawed. It's banned in war. You can't use tear gas because it's a chemical weapon, but it's not banned for domestic use in America somehow. But this was a veteran, a U.S. Air Force veteran, 70-year-old, committing the crime of basically telling the Border Patrol and ICE to back the fuck up and go back to, guarding your torture prison there. And here's what happened.
You're taking up arms against Americans. You're kidnapping people. Do you know these people? They do anything to you? Did they do anything to you? Oh, look at this one. Hey, little lady, we're going to want your $50,000 back.
Get the fuck out of the public street, thank you very much. You're the ones that are impeding our progress. Get out.
Get the fuck out of here.
Get out. Keep moving. Get out. Okay? Come on. You're wasting my time.
Get off the roadway! Right now!
Move off the roadway!
Why?
Clear the road.
Move off the runway now!
Clear off the road.
Clear out.
Clear out of the way!
Vehicles coming.
Get off!
You need an ambulance? You need an ambulance? You all right? You need an ambulance, sir. Take my foot. I got it. You throwing down, motherfucker.
Back.
Now! Get that man an ambulance!
We'll be arrested. Standing there, you're arresting him? He's a veteran. Are you serious? You guys are doing wrong. He's striking himself. He didn't do anything.
Not impede or interfere.
He didn't fucking do anything. That is bullshit.
1, 2, 3.
They didn't do anything.
Be my guest. Take me in. Come on.
So, they love to wrap themselves in the American flag, and we love the vets, and we're the party of law and order. Meanwhile, they are literally attacking a veteran, throw him to the ground, then try to arrest him after you throw him to the ground. And then because his arm lightly grazed one of these fucking steroidal needle dicks, charge him with felony assault of an officer, a 70-year-old U.S. Air Force veteran. By the way, I mean, he's 70. You could have concussed him throwing him to the ground like that. You could have done worse. This isn't the first veteran to be attacked by ICE, Border Patrol, National Guard. All of this is happening while I'm going to show you the numbers. The economy is hemorrhaging. People are losing their jobs. Healthcare is out of control. Housing's out of control. Americans, the amount living in RVs surging. All of this, it goes beyond mass distraction. This is literally what fascists do to basically seize control of the government, hoard all the resources and money. It goes hand in hand with corruption, which is our next topic, because his corruption's out of control too. But your thoughts on, I mean, other than like one or two other outlets, we're the only ones I know that got this footage, because we're one of the only outlets actually on the ground there, which again is very expensive. I know some people say, Jordan, stop asking for money 60% of the time. Well, would you prefer that I go and fucking ask, I don't know, Peter Thiel or George Soros or the Koch brother or United Healthcare, or I could go down the list? It's either I ask you, the viewer, to help fund this, because John's been in Chicago for a week. That's about $2,000 right there. Between the flight, the hotel, food. We just hired a reporter. That's expensive, full-time reporter. We got a producer now. We got Colin. I pay contributors like Zaina. I got to pay myself. So the travel costs and then having a staff, it costs money. And we're not asking you for funding just so we could sit in the studio. We're asking you for funding so we could stay out there. Because there is a lot of things that you see that we're the only ones who have the footage, because we're the only ones that are there. Not just here, other stories too. So that's why we're asking for your support. Again, if you don't have $5 a month, no shame, share, like, comment if you can't support us financially. But if you can, I think $5 a month is reasonable for living, breathing, on the ground journalism. Your thoughts, Zaina, on now we're assaulting veterans and charging them with assault.
Well, I'm glad that John was on the ground to catch it. It's important that we're able to catch these things whenever we can, and it coming from a journalistic outlet is really important. I've seen clip after clip after clip of ICE behaving in this way, throwing random people on the ground, waving their weapons at the crowd of people, or just at random people walking by when they're throwing down someone that simply happens to be walking by them, not even at protest even. I think it's escalating, and this administration has emboldened them to act this way. They've emboldened them to act this way.
The thing that I find the most troubling, 2016, I covered a lot of the Trump rallies. 2020, I covered a lot of the Trump rallies. Bernie rallies too, Hillary rallies, but I've covered a lot of Trump rallies, right-wing events. There's a lot of veterans out there. You see it with the Vietnam vets hats, Korean vets hats. It's an older crowd at a lot of these rallies, and a lot of them have served, which, whatever. Whether I agree or not with where they served, we appreciate, obviously, anybody's service. But you're supporting this shit if you're MAGA? Like attacking veterans? Not to mention like gutting veterans' healthcare and all the other shit that was done by Doge and Trump? You're okay with this? Because they're attacking veterans in D.C. too. There's a bunch of veterans who have been attacked or surveilled by Trump's National Guard, ICE in D.C. for having the gall to call out essentially the fascist takeover. And this is not okay to do it to anyone, vet or not vet. But the fact that they're doing this to veterans, I find disgusting. And keep those signups coming. We're getting people signing up as members. I'm going to shout you out as we go. Thank you so much. Emily just gifted 5 Status Coup memberships. And for those, by the way, that sign up through the website, make sure you finish the process. Because sometimes we have people put in their information, but they don't finish the final step, which is, putting in your financial information. So thank you. Ed signed up as a member through the website. We do prefer you signing up to our website, because YouTube, we don't get access to your email. And if YouTube one day goes nuclear and gets rid of our channel, which is a possibility because it's YouTube, then we're fucked. So if you can sign up to our website, we appreciate that, because then we have your email, we have your information, etc. Thank you. Ed signed up. Rosemary signed up. Lori, Joe, Christine, just signed up. You guys got to finish payment, but at least you started the sign up process. So that's Lori, Joe, Christine. If you think you signed up on the website, make sure you go back and see if you finished payment. Now I want to show you this, because not all clips are of carnage. Some of what I am proudest of is when we cover these protests and we actually give people a microphone to speak that don't get it on CNN, that you'll never see on MSNBC, on Fox News. You'll never see quoted in the New York Times, the Washington Post. You'll never even, you're not going to see them on Joe Rogan or one of these fucking bro pods. John interviewed a woman holding a Mexican flag, and some people were like, oh, I like her message, but why is she holding a Mexican flag? That's no, that's good. Hold the Mexican flag. It's called international solidarity. That's why she's holding the Mexican flag. We should not be frowning upon Americans holding a Mexican flag. That's a good thing. America is supposed to be built on immigration. And by the way, the Mexicans are not stealing your jobs. We've gone over this over and over. The Muslims are not stealing your jobs, MAGA. Okay? The brown people are not stealing your jobs. The government's stealing your jobs by sending it to China and Mexico. I thought what this woman said was very powerful. I'm having Michelle clip it because I hope it goes viral on our Instagram and all that good stuff. Let's play this.
You're so full of shit.
White supremacists, that's what you are. Your belly is sharp.
Hello, can someone please come over here? I work at an immigration law firm and the attorney needs signatures from a detainee. His name is Jose David Alvarez. I need his signature, please. I have the documents filled out. Please, I need his signature. This is for a cancellation of removal. His wife is a U.S. citizen and she suffered several strokes and was in a coma. He is her caregiver. Please, I need his signatures. Let him sign the papers.
We do have law and order. We do.
While I'm sitting on my front steps taking video of my block, looking for people, this is ridiculous. That's a fascist state. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. We are not a fascist state. If Trump or if the Republicans or if anybody wants to say Antifa is against the United States, let's think about that. Let's really think about that. Look up the definition of that, and you will see that democracy is anti-fascism. That is what democracy is. If that is what democracy is, then why is Trump trying to make it illegal? Why is Trump trying to make democracy illegal? Think about it. Think about that. Look it up in the dictionary. I don't care what dictionary you pick. Look it up in the dictionary. Fascism is anti-democracy. We are Republican democracy. Fascism is anti-that. And that's what these people are. That's what Trump is. That's what the GOP is trying to do right now. That's what some of the Democrats are trying to do right now. This is not just red and blue. This is not just, I don't know, but this is right and wrong. This is wrong. This is very wrong. What's happening in Gaza is very, very wrong. This is very wrong. This is fascism. We need to stand up against fascism. This is ridiculous. We are a republic democracy. We are the ones that are voting for all of this. This is not what we are voting for. This is not what we are voting for. I don't care about, yes, we need a tighter border control, but this is not it. This is not it. This is ridiculous, and this is fascism. If I end up getting fired, if I end up getting called out because of my opinion, fuck you all. This is my First Amendment right to stand up for democracy because this is anti-democracy. Anti-fascism is democracy. Thank you.
And, I think that's kind of, I think that's why we do what we do. I'm not trying to be corny, but there's always so much you could get from, covering things from afar. You know, it has its place. You can't be on the ground all the time, but it's something different when you're there and you get the energy of the crowd and you get whatever's floating in the air, that energy. And that woman and, you know, the people behind her, I just think she kind of captured what all this is about. And that eerie split screen of her saying, this is wrong, as we're showing you literally Border Patrol and ICE on the roof of the ICE prison. You didn't see it in that shot, but they're literally shooting as snipers from the roof, pepper balls at the crowd underneath. They're shooting pepper balls and they're shooting rubber bullets from the roof in sniper position. This is some of that shit you see in like those really poorly made Amazon Prime espionage shows, you know, like roof. And by the way, because I think we hear it so much that it, you know, we've been fooled into thinking it's non-lethal. Rubber bullets can kill you. If you get hit with a rubber bullet point blank, because I saw it at Standing Rock, there was a guy who got shot very close to me, right in his forehead. Scalp was nearly shot off. There was a woman, a 21-year-old, shot with a stun grenade. Sophia Wolanski was her name. They had to take part of her hip leg to basically make a fake arm, or they were going to amputate her real arm because they had to cut off some of her arm. That was a stun grenade, which they're using here. So this is really, it's a really dangerous time. And I want to be clear, because we always say this, like, we'd be a lot more profitable if we just put on a blue hat or a red hat, if we picked a side. Fascism in America existed before Trump. So I don't want to mislead people into thinking this is something new. It's not something new. It's just a lot worse than it was before Trump. And it's a lot more out in the open. There was things like this going on at Standing Rock. There was things like this going on at Black Lives Matter protests under Democratic presidents. When Democrats
had 200 pro-Palestine or anti-genocide protest that we've covered at Status Coup that John Farina has been on the ground for.
Yes. So there has been fascism going on in America, and there's different forms of fascism. It's not always what you think of, people being sent to gas chambers, which is obviously the worst kind. But we've had fascistic merger of the corporate state and the government state into one. Okay. That's been going on for a long time. Kent State, somebody said. The Rodney King riots. I mean, we could go down the list. This country has not been a functioning democracy or even a democracy for a very long time. But you have to call a spade a spade. It's worse now, and it's more dangerous now under this president. I fear, and that's why we're staying on the ground, what we're seeing is bad, but it could get worse because you can have real bullets firing soon. Because this Supreme Court's not going to stop him. They already said he could do whatever he wants, and he has blanket immunity.
And this is the man that said during the Black Lives Matter protest, why don't they just shoot protesters in the knees?
Right.
That was a quote from Donald Trump in 2020.
This was a man who, in the last months of his presidency in 2020, I believe when he had sane advisors and military people, they had to stop him from bombing Mexico because he wanted to bomb them to take out the drug cartels. Okay. And by the way, why I say I fear that real bullets could fly and this could get a lot worse and people could be killed is because he'll just pardon whatever soldiers or advisors perform the acts. It's really dangerous what's going on, and that's why we're on the ground. Because frankly, you're not seeing this stuff, the footage we're showing you. You're not really seeing it in corporate media. You're seeing bits and pieces. You're not seeing all of it like we're showing you. For example, I sent this footage. I got a call at 6:15 this morning. I was up feeding my kid from Democracy Now! I'd appreciate it if they'd have me on or one of our reporters on. I've only been asking for 7 years, but that's another side. That's another story. If you watch Democracy Now!, urge them, why don't you have on as guests the only independent outlet in America consistently on the ground? Kind of makes sense since, we're kind of aligned. Anyway, they called me because I sent to them the other day this footage from Saturday night that we got of Chicago looking like Fallujah. The tear gas all over the crowd. I guess they just decided to look today because they called me. I guess they taped early in the morning asking if they could use it, which I said yes. But the point is, you're not seeing this. Like CNN is not on the ground in the trenches like that. Neither is MSNBC, neither is Fox, New York Times, none of them. I don't want to say it's only us. There's some other, here and there's some independent documentary filmmakers, freelancers
Local
that are out.
Journalists, but it is isolated to locally, not nationally produced. But there are some journalists doing good work, but we're about the only one, I think, or the only one that does it nationally, that has a national news network.
Exactly. And when I say network, I mean stringing some hotel rooms together on a budget, a very tight. We're not like Starship Galactica here. All right. So keep those. Moral of the story: support this independent on the ground work, so we could shout you out, and we will have once John is back, we'll have our next monthly members call. We do it once a month with our paying members, probably next week, so we could have John and our new reporter JT. And hopefully Zaina will join us too. Welcome, new Status Coup member. Eric signed up through the website. Christine signed up through the website. And Joe and Lori, remember, you attempted to sign up. You haven't finished yet. So put your payment stuff through. All right. I want to show you also, this is Pete Hegseth basically openly saying the Pentagon is now, I mean, they already were, but now just openly saying we are going to commit war crimes in the name of not being woke. Let's play that.
We are preparing every day. We have to be prepared for war, not for defense. We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader.
Kind of psycho platoon leader was he?
A drunk one.
Intimidate, demoralize, and hunt. He openly admitted to, he potentially we did war crimes because I didn't follow the rules of engagement. What a crazy thing. Just absolutely unhinged.
He also said in the same speech, no more rules of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you have Trump, because he's basically saying we're going to use maximum violence on our enemies. Okay, who is the enemy? Let's hear from Trump. Who is the enemy?
I don't think I have that one.
All right. So Trump literally said we now are facing the enemy within, which he is now essentially calling Antifa, left-wing radicals, protesters on college campuses, environmental protesters, anybody he deems anti-capitalist, anti-war, climate change proponents. And we covered it on Monday, the list that Ken Klippenstein put together.
And it's not just rhetoric. It's literally written into multiple policies, from executive orders to memorandums to definitions handed down to the DHS, FBI, and to the Fed.
And this is why you should shut down the government and frankly, not open it until there's some accountability and reining back some of this shit. Because if you normalize it, when you empower wannabe dictators or actual dictators, when you empower wannabe fascists or actual fascists, they just they move the line even further until they swallow you whole. That's what Democratic Party doesn't understand, which I don't think they actually care, because it's not going to affect them.
And detached, Jordan. Like you
Yes.
said, many of them are more worried about their stocks than they are about our health and safety.
Well, a big
And
part of it is
democracy to be
a
blunt.
big part of it. How many of these Democratic politicians are on the streets with the protesters?
Zero.
Right. Zero. Let's play. We have at the Federal Plaza in New York City. This is an immigration courthouse. We've been there a couple times. We've covered and gotten you footage of, immigrants, their spouses, lawyers being manhandled by ICE. But this one was particularly jarring. This is them throwing a photojournalist to the ground, causing him to have to be hospitalized.
Get out the fucking elevator!
Who is that?
Yeah, give him some room, everybody.
You want to go with
Yeah, I got it. Oh, you want
yeah, if you want to help
Yep, you go.
now.
All right. All right, you guys good?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody. You can get the rest of them and everything. All right.
Yeah.
So the new penalty is paralysis for crowding the elevator at ICE headquarters. Oh my God. I mean, you can't make this shit up, Zaina. It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
I mean, I think back to the Trump rallies that even you covered back in 2016, and I know that we've had this discussion before. How he would rile up the crowd and he would point back at journalists and he would say, if something happens to those journalists, I'll bail you out openly. And then I think about the people signing up for ICE. I think about the people doing this work, and many of them do support that rhetoric and have been. It's been nearly a decade now of this rhetoric against the free press and blatant outright violence toward the free press. It was scary. I covered some Trump rallies back then. It was scary to be a journalist on the ground at these rallies. I remember how high the temperature was. And when I see a journalist being thrown onto the ground by members of ICE, it takes me all the way back to 2016 to that rhetoric that we heard pumping out before he was even elected the first time.
It's just crazy. Yeah, there's no words. I mean, again, this violence was going on in America. Fascistic things are going on in America, but it was done, I guess, in a quieter way, a little more under the radar, a little bit more subtle, not like with an exclamation point to make that the cruelty was the point. That's the difference here. They want to be cruel. They want to be violent. They want to scare people. I'll show you another one. This was ICE. We saw a congressional candidate thrown to the ground in Chicago last week. Now another one was thrown to the ground in Portland. Let's show that, Colin.
You gotta strut like you mean it. Free your mind. It's not enough just to dream it. Hey! Oh, come on.
Get back. She did nothing. She is disabled. Leave her alone. She's disabled.
Well, she's disabled now because she fucked around. So yeah.
She's disabled now because she fucked around.
Did somebody say that?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. I couldn't hear that. That's horrible. Coming from one of the members of ICE?
I don't know who said it. Could have been. And Colin, I missed this, but do you have the clip?
Standing there too. She was literally just standing there.
Do you have the clip, Colin, of JD Vance talking yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put that.
The government. Your final question about illegal alien benefits. Look, the text is very clear, and I even saw, I think it was George Stephanopoulos in an interview with Mike Johnson, did a fact check that was totally rooted in baseless claims. It was basically Democrat propaganda. If you look at the legislative text that they gave us, they tried to turn on two separate provisions that would give health care benefits to illegal aliens. Number one, if you're an American citizen, you've been to a hospital in the last few years, you probably noticed that wait times are especially large, and very often somebody who's there in the emergency room waiting is an illegal alien, very often a person who can't even speak English. Why do those people get health care benefits at hospitals paid for by American citizens? The answer is a decision made by the Biden administration that the Trump administration, working with congressional Republicans, undid. We turned off that money spigot to health care funding for illegal aliens. The Democrats, in their legislative text, want to turn it back on. That's one thing. The second thing, Matt.
So besides the fact that illegal aliens don't get health care in America, that's just not true. It's a lie. Anybody notice the racism of a statement that if you look in the emergency room, you'll notice illegal aliens getting health care? What does an illegal alien look like? Are they brown?
They speak a different language, apparently.
It's just the racism is so inherent. The bigotry is so inherent that it's kind of the point.
Z said in the chat that they do in California. That is a statewide law that was passed by the state house and approved by the gubernatorialship, which is there's supposed to be separation of states from federal policy, right? It's a state right. If the majority of voters and the state agrees that should be their policy, who are the federal authorities to say that it can't be?
Right, but
and that's for CalCare, which is a state-ran, not a federally subsidized initiative.
Right, and the Republicans are lying and trying to frame it that undocumented immigrants around the country get health care. That's just not true. It's not. I have met immigrants who are undocumented who have told me they won't go to the hospital, not even because they're not covered, because they can't afford it. So it's just not true. But basically saying if you look in the emergency room, you'll notice a lot of illegal aliens. They're basically out in the open making the case that they're pointing you to the other. And they're doing this to distract from the overwhelming negative of their policies and the 40-year neoliberal bubble popping, which is bipartisan. So just today, let's show you the video. This from CNBC. Another revision of the jobs reports where 32,000 less jobs came in September. Let's play that.
Did you update the document? I don't have that one either. Because
it's should be under the topic 2. You don't have it? Hold on.
I'll grab it now.
So basically, August, as in May and June, when the numbers were revised, like hundreds of thousands of less jobs were reported than previously thought. August is now there's minus 3,000 jobs compared to what they claimed, which are 54,000.
What we got, because as Rick said, very disappointing. It was a weak number. So this is private sector jobs. Total comes in negative. 32,000. And that was a surprise because economists were looking for an increase of 51,000. It's the biggest monthly drop since March 2023. Also, the revision was not good. August was revised down sharply. The month now showing, as you can see, or actually can't see, but August goes down to negative 3,000 compared to the initial read of 54,000. There's the August revision. So 2 weak months in a row. If you look, private sector payrolls have now dropped in 3 of the last 4 months, according to ADP. And if you look beneath the surface, you can see where the job losses were. Small and medium-sized businesses saw bigger declines than large businesses, which actually saw job growth. But guys, if you take the report and you compare it, some people say, oh, it's not really correlated with the government jobs report. Well, the reason I think that people are paying attention to it today is, first of all, we're not going to likely get that government jobs report on Friday, but also look at the correlation. I mean, the direction is in the right mode. Like they dip at the same time, they rise at the same time. I think it gives you a good sense, at the very least, of the trend on job growth. This is ADP private sector versus the traditional monthly jobs report that we get on Friday, where the market pays really close attention to. So I think it's a good indication that the labor market is softening and that employers are a little more cautious when it comes to hiring and even paying. Carl, in terms of compensation, job changer pay growth declined 6.6%.
6.6% at the very end. That is significant.
Yes. And by the way, I always say the jobs reports are bullshit. The unemployment rate is bullshit. That's not the true measurement of the economy. But even the bullshit metric is pretty bad right now. Yep. Then you have, this is from the Substack article I sent, Colin. But if you look at the bullets, they're doing all this to distract you from the fact that this was in one of my recent articles.
And this
for
was
Substack.
a great article. If you guys haven't read it, please go check it out.
Well, thank you. I wrote it. It's on our Substack, which you can sign up.
But it was a really good article.
You could sign up for free. StatusCoup.substack.com. Since 2000, average rent has increased by 139% compared to 112% for median full-time wages. Then you have the bottom 60% of U.S. households don't make enough money to afford a minimal quality of life. That's according to a new analysis in May. Priced out of traditional housing, more Americans are living in RVs. U.S. homelessness hit a record high last year, and that's probably an undercount. Homelessness was up 18% last year. A U.S. household now needs to earn $114,000 annually to afford a median-priced home. U.S. foreclosures are up 14% in May from the same period the year before. Billionaire wealth surged 3 times faster last year. The world is on pace now for at least 5 trillionaires within a decade. AI is replacing entry-level jobs, and top executives warn of a 10 to 20% overall unemployment in the next 5 years. I would think that's going to be in the next 2 years, not 5. And
many are saying too, and upwards, anywhere from and upwards of the high estimate is 25 to 27%, which is crazy.
Less than half of Americans with jobs say they have a sense of financial well-being, and U.S. billionaires reached a record-breaking $7.6 trillion in wealth as of September, an increase of $4.7 trillion in less than 8 years. Most of that wealth hasn't been taxed and won't be taxed under our current system. All of this, Dana, yet what we're seeing, the real crisis, is the immigrants. The real crisis, the real crisis deserves a fucking deployment of, tens of thousands of GI jackasses around the nation, in LA and DC and Chicago and Memphis and Portland, to terrorize Americans. It's just crazy.
And people often will comment that, or the way that it's looked at is, you're against wealth redistribution. But I will tell you right now, we are in the middle of massive wealth redistribution, but that redistribution is from the middle class, from the working class in this country, to these billionaires and trillionaires. There is wealth redistribution right now happening. There's theft happening, and it is these elites that are stealing from us and have eroded and put to rest the middle class. It's gone. The middle class is gone in this country.
And for those asking what is the plan, I am a humble servant. All I could do is inform you and wake you up to what's going on. You got to come up with the plan. I'm not an activist. I'm a journalist. But I will tell you, with that said, I think we've made it pretty clear. Electorally, the plan needs to be demand universal health care, a government jobs program, I believe a national rent freeze, and we need public financing of campaigns and to regulate like a motherfucker money in politics. All of this stems from money in politics, which is destroying our system, corrupting our government. If the government wasn't purchased on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, you would see a lot less of this. But so to me, the short-term electoral plan, if you actually, if the American people said we're not voting for the current Democrats unless they are for X, Y, and Z, I'm talking old boomers. I'm talking vote blue no matter who Democrats. I'm talking people who supported the establishment forever and ever. If you finally come over to the left side and say, we're cleaning house if you don't offer universal health care, free public college, government jobs guarantee, canceling student loan debt, actual progressive policies, because that wins elections. I don't care about the propaganda that, oh, they'll paint you as socialist and you'll lose. No, that's all made up bullshit. So that's the electoral plan. The other plan, got to unionize the hell out of this country. You got to get involved with local organizing, from organizing unions, organizing tenants unions, organizing mutual aid, worker strikes, because it's not just electoral. We need to regalvanize the union movement in this country. That's another thing that the Democrats could be proposing right now is you put us back in. We're going to pass the PRO Act. I'm not saying I believe them, but at least pretend that you're going to do it, because the PRO Act would give workers leverage and make it harder to union bust and make it easier to unionize. All right. If all this didn't make you dizzy enough, and again, we're in Chicago now. We're staying there through the weekend. It's expensive. We've been there for a week, but we're staying there because we believe there's going to be more violence, frankly, and more fascistic overreach and more fucking Border Patrol and ICE treating America like it's a Call of Duty video game. So we want to be on the ground to cover what, frankly, the corporate media is covering up. They're hiding it from you, what's really going on. So if you value this reporting, if you want to see more of it, please support us. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but we have to sign up more people as paid members to continue staying out there, because we're not taking funding from, AI. I have a gazillion emails from AI companies wanting to do sponsorships and wanting us to work with them. No, we're not taking corporate funding. We're not partnering with AI. We need to rely on you so we can stay out there. If all this isn't staggering enough, Zaina, I mean, I don't think we've had this type of corruption at the top, possibly in American history, which goes hand in hand with fascism. Fascist governments are corrupt. Once it's all said and done and the dictator is forced out and cleaned out, you learn that they were basically robbing the palace blind. So now you have this $20 billion bailout happening. So we don't have enough money for healthcare. We don't have enough money for education. We don't have enough money for childcare. We don't have enough money for youth programs. But we could bail out the libertarian fascist leader of Argentina, Milei.
That's asinine. It's asinine.
So Trump's Argentina bailout sparks fury among farmers and Republicans. So the very people he claimed he was going to be a champion for, farmers, they're now pissed off because we're giving $20 billion to Argentina, talk about the free market, as their farms are going belly up from his tariffs. So President Trump's offer to prop up Argentina's economy and the political future of embattled President Javier Milei has drawn the ire of farmers and lawmakers who consider this an ill-judged use of American resources. Milei, who has led the country since December 2023, is now facing off against several threats to his free market movement. Yeah, very free market to your terrible policies. Now you're getting a bailout from, your sugar daddy America and your fellow fascist Trump, including the recent electoral successes of his personalist rivals and a depletion of his country's foreign reserves. Amid this, Milei's declining prospects in the upcoming midterm elections, Trump said he would help his counterpart secure, quote, all of the things that you need to make Argentina great again. Treasury Secretary Bessent, meanwhile, offered a $20 billion swap line and other forms of assistance to help stabilize the Argentine peso, and said the U.S. remained prepared to do what is necessary to sustain the important strides taken by Milei. It's just beyond corrupt. And for those of you saying, well, it's a loan. Yeah. I wouldn't be holding your breath to be paid back by Argentina. Then you have, so while the government is shut down because the Republicans want to gut Obamacare further, the White House just announced that the construction of Trump's $200 million Golden Ballroom will continue during the government shutdown while Americans, soldiers, go without pay. So that new vanity ballroom, that's going forward. It gets better, Zaina. You remember how Trump was getting $400 million from Qatar for a new Air Force One, which is also blatantly illegal? Well, what do you know? Qatar's getting their monies, a bang for their buck. Trump just signed an executive order basically pledging Article 5 security guarantees to Qatar.
Because, of course.
The U.S. shall regard any armed attack on the territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure of the state of Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the U.S. Peace and security of the U.S.
That's interesting because hasn't it would that count Israel in that calculation?
Apparently,
if they decide to strike Qatar again. Interesting.
Yeah, so basically, you look at Qatar wrong, we're gonna fucking drop a nuke on you as I dust off my gold-plated caviar on my Qatar-funded plane. You also have Jared Kushner, who made billions of dollars off of Saudi Arabia after Trump's first administration. That would be Trump's son-in-law. The right wing was all up in arms forever and ever about Hunter Biden. I mean, Hunter Biden's corruption was small time compared to Jared Kushner. Well, the White House press secretary was asked about Kushner apparently getting more money off of the Trump administration now. And boy, she didn't like it. Let's play that.
The White House decide that it is appropriate for Jared Kushner to be working on matters that involve Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, 3 countries that combined have given him more than $2.5 billion for his investment firm.
I think it's frankly despicable that you're trying to suggest that it's inappropriate for Jared Kushner, who is widely respected around the world and has great trust in relationships with these critical partners in these countries, to strike a 20-point comprehensive detailed peace plan that no other administration would ever be able to achieve. And so Jared is donating his energy and his time to our government, to the President of the United States, to secure world peace. And that is a very noble thing. And this is a peace plan that has not just been accepted by Israel, but it has been applauded by Muslim and Arab countries around the world. It has been applauded by European leaders around the world. Virtually everyone in the world is supportive of this plan that Jared Kushner offered his time to help put together alongside our special envoy Witkoff, the Vice President, the President of the United States, Secretary Rubio, and the President's entire national security team. We are very proud of that plan, and we hope Hamas will accept it because it will lead to a more peaceful and prosperous Middle East.
A very peaceful and profitable plan for Jared Kushner, which I didn't go through the 20-point plan because after point 1 or 2, it became very clear this is not a deal between Israel and the Palestinians. It's a deal to basically get rid of the Palestinians and basically make Gaza some joint U.S. European controlled, wasteland, really. But Palestinians, it would be further splintered if you looked at that deal. And Palestinians would have really zero sovereignty. But U.S.
direction toward all out ethnic cleansing is what they're looking at for, property valuation, for building, for, talk about, when they talked about building a new Trump Tower there, that wasn't hyperbole.
But what's amazing to me, and we've talked about the MAGA clapping seals, and I try not to demonize because we do have some conservatives who watch us. They don't agree with me on all things, but they appreciate our coverage on water contamination, corporate sacrifice. So you're not all clapping seals, but there's a lot of you that are clapping seals. I'm just going to call it what it is. And it's like you enjoy being abused. It's like you enjoy the corruption. It's like you have blinders on because you buy all the bullshit about like the Democrat. There's plenty of Democratic Party corruption. To be clear, this is not like a pro-Dem channel, but you're up in arms whenever there's an iota of Democratic corruption. But with Trump, it's just like, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. Oh, he's just playing them like a fiddle, that corruption. You don't mind the corruption, and you don't realize it's at your expense. This corruption is at your expense. You're paying more for healthcare. You're paying more for education. You're having to work more jobs. You're having to ration things. You're having to, go into debt over student loans or medical bills or this and that, while they're making a bank. His son-in-law is making billions of dollars off of the government, off of Trump's deals. And by the way, Trump, his net worth has gone up $3 billion in his second presidency. That's 9 months. His net worth has gone up $3 billion. How does the president of the United States, with a salary about $400,000, his net worth is going up $3 billion because of his crypto scams? And you're okay with that corruption? Because if it was Biden, if it was Obama, you'd be screaming bloody murder and impeachment. But now, this is my favorite one. I don't know if you heard in recent days, Zaina, about Trump RX. That Trump and Pfizer struck a deal for like lower prescription drugs. What do you know? It's actually going to funnel money to Trump's organization, his real estate organization. The art of the drug deal. Pfizer may funnel up to $500 million to Trump organization via Trump RX. If anyone is still in doubt that Trump is personally and politically funded by Big Pharma, here is the proof. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Cliff Notes. As of September 30th, the White House is reported to be planning to announce the launch of Trump RX, a new direct-to-consumer online platform designed to enable Americans to purchase prescription medications at discounted prices. The Trump RX platform will allow patients to search for specific medications and connect them with platforms selling the drug at lower costs. The website aims to simplify the process of obtaining medications and reduce out-of-pocket expenses. Sounds good. In the deal, Pfizer has agreed to offer several of its medications at reduced prices through Medicaid. This is touting as benefiting up to 100 million patients, except patients on Medicaid do not pay for their drugs, so the benefit is not for these patients at all. It is for the Medicaid budget only. Additionally, Pfizer was shaken down along with other pharmas to, quote, invest in the U.S. by building plants to manufacture more poison domestically and thus beef up the control over the state and local legislators. Under this shakedown plan, Pfizer is to invest $70 billion in U.S. drug manufacturing, which helps secure its exemptions from new 100% tariffs imposed on companies not producing domestically. While Pfizer is the first major drug company to respond, it remains unclear whether other pharmaceutical companies will participate in Trump's RX initiative. The operation details, which include prescription verification, shipping regulations, and the platform's compliance with healthcare laws, have not been fully disclosed. The deal benefits nobody, Yes, it will provide contracts for construction, equipment, and some jobs, but it chains all the local authorities to enforcing the next condemic, the other deadly nonsense. So, any other corruption bombs I missed?
Oh, I'm sure. The Trump RX is staggering because one, it's just one pharmaceutical company. There's another part that wasn't mentioned in this article whatsoever, and it's the fact that Trump's tariffs have placed it to where drugs that are manufactured overseas that have a cheaper price tag than what are manufactured here, because people sometimes order from abroad because of our outrageous, insane pricing here that's not needed or necessary. And why is, for instance, an EpiPen 500 to 1,000 times more expensive than it needs to be? There's no reason for that. But because of his tariffs, the cost on medical supplies, on medicine specifically, have gone up 70 to 80% for many different types of life-saving and important medications. So they're doing one deal with one pharmaceutical company, Pfizer, which means that it's a monopolization within the market. And at the same time, these tariffs are impacting everyone's health that needs this medication, that some of them can only come from overseas.
It's just staggering. It's really hard to keep up with. I think this goes with the kind of Trump, Steve Bannon, flood the zone strategy. But when the corruption becomes this rapid fire, this much, it's hard not to become numb to it. And that's our job, to point it out, that all of this is illegal. Even stuff that technically is not illegal should be illegal. But I think based on the fact that the right-wing movement over the last 40 years has been working not just to usher in a Trump, but also to usher in a Supreme Court that basically does away with the laws, or, top torpedoes the rule of law to change it, or to waive certain things we thought were law
to
or precedent.
precedents, which they,
Exactly.
Some members are already saying that, some members of this administration are saying that precedents aren't valid. That, like we said on our last program, that's supposed to be the whole damn point of the Supreme Court. The whole point is to look at precedents and determine from there.
Right. But I also want to point out, because you see in the chat, I voted for this. I voted for ICE. I voted for the deportations. Well, maybe you did. Maybe you did. The majority of Americans, including Trump supporters, did not vote for this. He didn't talk about doing 90% of this stuff. And when he did talk about immigration deportation, he spoke about going after violent criminals, which even, liberals agreed with in some degree. A lot of Trump's voters were independents, not like MAGA, but he got independents who bought the bullshit that he was going to lower prices, which he clearly has not. So the majority of what he's doing is highly unpopular, but we also cannot rest on our laurels and say, just vote blue no matter who and get him back in. We need to demand an opposition party that's actually going to provide more than just let's save the Obamacare subsidies, more than end the fascism. Like, to be clear, I'm not telling anyone else how to vote, but for me, I am going to vote for the Democrat in the next election, because to me, you got to put out the fucking fire before you could focus on the faulty equipment. We have to put out this fire. This is beyond lesser of two evils. This is about saving the country. That doesn't mean support Democrats. It doesn't mean, ignore Democratic Party corruption. But, I'm not going to go down in history as turning a blind eye to a straight out fascist dictator and his movement's takeover of America. But with that said, while there is an opportunity, you have to demand that the Democratic Party actually offer something. Because I'll tell you what, I don't think these fucking idiot pundits who think there's going to be a Democratic Party tidal wave in the midterms and a Democrat's definitely going to win in 2028, not with their current strategy of basically just doubling and tripling down on Trump's a fascist and no King's Day, and let's just call him a fascist and call him a this. If you're not offering the masses a bold alternative, meaning actual policies that are an alternative, not just to call him a fascist, which he is, not just to call, decry his undemocratic behavior. You got to remember, most people believe in democracy, but most people don't believe they have a working democracy that's working for them.
And they would be right to a certain extent. They would be right.
Absolutely.
Because these Democrats don't want to move on this because they don't want to upset their high dollar donors. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about insider trading. In fact, the majority of them voted against a bill that Thomas Massey and others rolled out, members of the squad, to tamper down on insider trading. They don't want to get money out of politics, dirty, dark money out of politics. They don't want to handle any of the laws that would help unionize, that would help to tax these billionaires. In fact, look at Mamdani's race in New York when they keep talking about how, if he raises taxes in New York, then all the billionaires are going to leave. Ooh, so scary. I mean, if they were going to leave, they were going to leave anyway. But I feel like the way that everyone has responded to Mamdani is also a good. Mamdani running for mayor in New York, Zoran Mamdani, is a good indicator of where the party is on this. Move right, further move right, but give no solutions.
Absolutely. I got to go take care of the kitties. Zaina's going to stick around because we have breaking news on the another Gaza aid flotilla that's being intercepted by America's client state of Israel. So now we're already protecting Israel against its genocide and war crimes. We're adding Qatar to that. I mean, let's be real. Trump also gave carte blanche to Saudi Arabia, who dismembers journalists. Biden kind of continued that anyway. So Democrats kind of believe in democracy when it's convenient for them. Republicans don't care at all. At all. But before I go, I want to give some shout outs because we did get some new members. Keep signing up. Again, we're staying in Chicago through the weekend. You got to help us keep the lights on, folks. We want to stay in Chicago on the ground to cover Trump's latest fucking ICE, Border Patrol, Gestapo invasion. Now they're starting up in Memphis. We would like to go there. We just hired a new reporter. It's expensive. We have me. Now we have JT, who's doing great work. We'll introduce him more, do like an interview, he and I, next week, so you get to know him a little better. We have Michelle, our new producer, who, by the way, is blowing shit up for Status Coup. We're up 23,000 followers on Instagram. I'm kind of a boomer in a month. I'm kind of a boomer when it comes to Instagram and TikTok, but it's important because a lot of people only digest news now in like shorter, minute to 2 minute clips. So that's something we've been lacking to try and get our long form on the ground journalism out in quicker, more viral stuff. But eyeballs are eyeballs, and we're trying to funnel people more back to the channel and get our content out more to the masses. So Michelle's doing great work on that. Obviously, Colin's been with us since the beginning 7 years ago. Got to pay him. Zaina, we'd like to use more. Pay her. Ron. I mean, there's a lot of mouths. John Farina, who does great work on the ground. So he also got tear gas for the 100th time the other day. So please support us. We're a small but mighty crew. It's me signed up as a Status Coup YouTube member. One more time, we appreciate any way you sign up. But if you're saying, Jordan, what do you prefer? Definitely sign up on our website if you can. StatusCoup.com/join. Being reliant on YouTube, not smart. We don't get your emails if you sign up on YouTube. And YouTube, their censorship policies change with the weather. So one day YouTube could just decide we're fucking Antifa and demonetize our channel. They could decide that we're supporting terrorism. We're not. They could support. They've gotten rid of channels with no explanation. So the more people we have signed up on YouTube, what happens if we're fucked and we get demonetized or thrown off? Then we're really screwed. So that's why we ask people to sign up on our website, StatusCoup.com/join. You could sign up for as low as $5 a month, which is 16 cents a day. And by the way, you get perks. We do a monthly members call through a program like Zoom. You get merchandise discounts. If you're a website member, and behind the scenes content on the ground from our on the ground reporting. Joshua, $5. We need to stop the hype that makes people work for corrupt politicians. Yes. Well, we need to stop the corruption, which means get money out of politics, term limits, among other things. Eric became a YouTube member. Thank you, Eric. Luke, $5. Thank you, Luke. Kimmy gifted a YouTube membership.
Thanks.
Emily gifted 5 YouTube memberships. Thank you so much, Emily. Justin, $5. I hope the World Cup and Olympics are watching how we are treating people visiting from abroad and decide just not to do it. Make it financially cost them. That would be.
Those type of boycotts would be helpful.
It certainly would. Nadia, €2. Euros. It took Stalin and Mao to defeat fascism, not election. That's a good point. Emily, $2. Okay, the lady singing about strutting was funny. That was funny in that video.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Nadia, £5. CF, Gabriel, Rockhill, liberalism and fascism, partners in crime. Shifting tiers of oppression aligned with your idea that it's been here for minorities. Thank you. Joseph, $5. Hey guys, haven't seen Ashley in a bit. Hope all is well with her. Yeah, we announced a couple of weeks ago she's no longer with. She's alive. She's just not with Status Coup anymore. Unfortunately, didn't work out, but no hard feelings. But we did make an announcement a few weeks ago that she's not with Status Coup anymore. Ronald, new Status Coup member. Thank you. Donna signed up as a YouTube member. Thank you, Donna. Prince of Persia. Ooh, I like that. New Status Coup member. Thank you. Ronald signed up twice. Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Ronald. Prince of Persia, $10 super sticker. Cute kid in the picture too.
Thank you.
And Erica, new YouTube member. Thank you, Erica. And let me check the website because I saw a couple signups there too. All right, Christopher signed up on our website. Eric signed up on our website. Christine signed up on our website. Joe and Lori, you started the sign up process, but make sure you finish your payment because you're still showing up as your payment didn't go through yet. Rosemary signed up as a website member, and Ed signed up as a website member. So one more time, I'm not beyond begging the proletariat. You know what? Let's just face it. There's a lot of independent, air quotes, independent outlets out there. They send you emails asking for money. They send you another email asking for money. They, claim they're defending democracy. They say they're fighting for power. Ultimately, they're doing hot take clickbaity shit sandwich videos. They're mostly talking about the same shit. They're not out there in the trenches. I'm not saying there's no value to channels that, for example, I'm a big fan of Kyle Kalinske. I think he does good work. Breaking Points, Democracy Now! There's value. You don't all have to be out there in the trenches. With that said, our overhead is a lot more than those channels because of the travel costs, because of the reporting, the equipment needs. Hell, we're going to probably have to up our legal infrastructure because it's very likely we're at some point going to have, as journalists, going to be arrested in this fascist takeover and have legal costs for doing journalism. I was arrested almost a decade ago covering a Black Lives Matter protest. So the bottom line is there's a lot of outlets out there that it's not that they do bad work. It's just they don't have the same overhead we have and they're not in the trenches. So if you value actual living, breathing journalism, please support us. And if you don't think
we're 100% member funded, we do no advertisers. We have no big conglomerates bankrolling us. It's all you guys. And
we've had opportunities to be funded.
Oh, Tim, no, I'm not having an earthquake. I am autistic, and so I am stimming in the background, and you just can't see it. I often shake my legs, so I'm so sorry for that. No earthquake here.
Oh, it's like there was an earthquake? Wow. Thank you. Mike just signed up as a YouTube member. So bottom line, support us if you can. We really appreciate it. Zeta, take it from here because you wanted to get into this important story. And by the way, to be clear, like all this shit is happening. Let's not forget there is an active genocide happening, which Zaina has championed that story. I mean, we've covered 200 protests at this point. When I say we, John has covered 200 protests. New York City, he's been. DC, We've covered it in Chicago, LA. I went to Dearborn before the election to interview Muslim Americans who have lost a lot of their family in Gaza. So we have been all over this story because it's not just about the Palestinians. Obviously, that's the most important part. It's about the United States government is corrupt. The politicians are actively funding a genocide because they are afraid of a foreign lobby known as AIPAC.
And it ties to everything we've talked about today because the imperial boomerang is what it's called, is very real. What is done there is brought back home. The tactics are brought back home, and we're seeing that being utilized through ICE and our police forces right now.
With that, take it away, Zaina.
All right. Thanks, Jordan. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Of work. I'm sure he'll still be working while he's doing dad duty. So if you guys are unaware of the Global Samud Flotilla, I'll tell you guys just a little bit about it. It started, everyone boarded the boats about 30 days ago from today and set out with a major mission of multiple flotillas. The number got up to 47 separate boats of humanitarians that were sailing to Gaza in order to help break the siege on Gaza and to bring humanitarian aid to Gaza. It included foreign diplomats. It included members of the press. It included one ship actually called Wahala, was a ship of United States veterans. I actually was listening to a veteran, I believe her name was Zoe, today on a TikTok live, as multiple of these ships are being boarded by the Israeli military. Now, just to give you guys a little bit of perspective on this, as I had said, they started off setting sail nearly a month ago. There are more than 86 countries, people from 86 countries involved, more than 47 ships. Initially, just a week ago, Spain and Italy claimed that they were going to send ships to help ensure the safety of their citizens on these boats. However, the Israeli military issued a warning, asked the Global Samud Flotilla, which is more than 47 boats, to dock before they got to Gaza and hand the aid over to either a third party or to Israel to distribute. They refused. Now, according to international law within the United Nations, the corridor that they were sailing in was supposed to be Palestinian waters to Palestine, to Gaza, which is considered Palestine, not Israel. However, what Israel is claiming, and I will read to you the latest post here from what they are actually claiming. And I'm so sorry I'm doing this in real time. So, high alert, October 1st, our vessels... Elliot, please help me. I'm so sorry. My dogs are a little bit on edge today. They're setting up for an event across the street, and they are not handling it well. So sorry about that. High alert, October 1st. Our vessels are being illegally intercepted. Cameras are offline and vessels have been boarded by military personnel. We are actively working to confirm the safety and status of all participants on board. Also, and Colin, you haven't gotten this, so I'll just read this for you guys. There was a statement issued just minutes before we came on air from the Global Samud Flotilla on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025, around 8:30 p.m. Gaza time. Multiple vessels of the Global Samud Flotilla, notably Alma, which has Greta Thunberg on board, Sirius, and Adria were illegally intercepted and boarded by Israeli occupation forces in international waters. Prior to illegally boarding the ships, it appears as though the Israeli naval vessels intentionally damaged ships' communications in an attempt to block distress signals and stop the live streaming of their illegal boat boarding. In addition to the boats confirmed to be intercepted, live stream coverage and communication has been lost with multiple other boats. We are diligently working to account for all participants and crew. We will share updates as soon as we have confirmed information about the status of boats, detentions, injuries, and potential casualties. This is an illegal attack, and this is from the Global Samud Flotilla. This is an illegal attack on unarmed humanitarians in international waters. We call on governments, world leaders, and international institutions to demand safety and release of all on board and continue to monitor this situation closely. Despite interception of a few vessels, the Global Samud Flotilla is 70 nautical miles away from the Gaza coastline and will continue undeterred. So they do plan on continuing any ships that happen to not be boarded and people not arrested. Did I send you another link, Colin?
Not to read from. I just have the clips here, I think.
Okay, yeah, if you could play the first clip, that would be great. And as I said, this was done just before the show, so I know that more news is coming out as we're speaking right now, but this is what we had just before the show started.
It seems that we are surrounded by military vessels and that the first ships will soon be entered and that we will be kidnapped and brought to Israel. So these are going to be the last moments of the Global Samud Flotilla. The fight for free Palestine is not over, and I hope that we will be free again soon, but I hope even more that all Palestinians will be free soon. Thank you for all your love and all your support, and please, wherever you are, let's keep fighting.
Sorry, I was asking my kiddo to help with the pups, to put them in the back room. So that was just before the boats were boarded, where there were reports that some boats were being boarded. The Israeli Foreign Ministry just 45 minutes ago released a statement and a video of Greta Thunberg. Already, several vessels of the Hamas Samud. This is from the Israeli Foreign Ministry. Several vessels of the Hamas Samud, I guess that's what they're calling it, flotilla have safely stopped and their passengers are being transferred to an Israeli port. Greta and her friends are safe and healthy. Now, let me remind you that these are not members of Hamas. These are individuals from multiple countries, including an entire ship of veterans from the United States. Another ship that was all humanitarian doctors and medical workers, such as doctors from Doctors Without Borders. So who Israel is labeling as Hamas in their statements are American citizens, global representatives, global diplomats, activists, organizers, and people like veterans of the United States. Absolutely asinine and ridiculous illegal seizure of these boats, illegal seizure of individuals. And if for those that don't know, this is the third recent flotilla attempt. There have been two previously, one in which we covered that Chris Smalls was arrested and assaulted. Amazon activist Chris Smalls was arrested and assaulted by the IDF. On top of this, I think we have one other clip to play for you guys here. Did we have one more, Colin? There was so much that I was gathering. I wasn't sure what I got.
In an active war zone. If you continue and attempt to breach the naval blockade, we will stop your vessel and act to confiscate it through legal proceedings in court. You bear full responsibility for your actions.
Say that we are entering an active war zone. You're saying that we are entering a place where we are committing war crimes. This is against international law. Once again, the International Court of Justice made a provisional ruling that any attempt to hinder a humanitarian mission to Gaza is prohibited by international law and is complying with the request to make you accountable for the crime of genocide. The International Criminal Court has your Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu under an arrest warrant for the crime of starving children and starving people to death using starvation and famine as a weapon of war. Therefore, it's our moral duty to continue sailing. It's our moral duty to refuse any attempt of an occupying force to control humanitarian aid for the Palestinian people in Gaza who have the right of their sovereignty, who have the right of their self-determination and to control their own borders. Therefore, We do not recognize you as a legitimate agent to control any attempt to bring aid to the Palestinian people in Gaza. We request you to stand down, to do not commit another war crime among so many that you've been committing, and to stand down. Do not engage with our peaceful, non-violent, humanitarian solidarity mission for the Palestinian people in Gaza. I advise you again.
And that was from Diego Avila. He is a Brazilian humanitarian leader who is on the Global Samud Flotilla. That was you guys hearing what message they got from the Israeli forces before the Israeli forces boarded their ships. And I do want to remind people that there are supposedly supposed to be waters that are designated for the Palestinian peoples. The territory of Gaza is considered Palestinian territory. And there has been an illegal blockade and siege on those waters and on Gaza for more than 18 years with the current onslaught and genocide, the starvation of children, the intentional starvation of children happening right now. So there are still boats that are sailing. There are still boats that are moving forward. And yes, Kat T said illegally boarded their ships. Absolutely. According to international law, aid organizations have a right to sail toward and to enter countries in order to provide aid, according to international law, according to the United Nations, where several members from multiple countries walked out on a briefing from Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu just earlier this last week. So that's where we're at. Currently, Greta Thunberg is in custody. We're not sure what's going to happen because the Israeli government, spokespeople from the Israeli government have said that they were considering treating these individuals as terrorists and designating the Global Samud Flotilla, a peaceful flotilla, a non-militant flotilla, as a terrorist organization. This is people with Doctors Without Borders, American veterans. The one veteran that I saw earlier today speaking, she was from West Virginia. So is encouraging people to call the representatives in West Virginia to make sure if her boat was boarded, that veterans get released. So we're keeping an eye on that because there's dozens of U.S. veterans on these ships as well. So that's where we're at with the Global Samud Flotilla. It is being covered now. Live streams were on Reuters, on the Associated Press. The international community is watching, and the entire nation is watching to see what Israel does. This is just a long line of Israel ignoring international law and the United States backing them, blocking vetoes in the United Nations, and arming them and allowing Israel to ignore international law, which we heard earlier from Pete Hegseth that, they don't have any plans on our military following rules of engagement, which Israel has already been ignoring. So shocker there. But that's where we are following this. There are organized national protests all across the country. So please keep an eye out for that. And if you are interested in any of the past protest reporting, Status Coup has done a litany of coverage on this. John Farina has covered nearly 200 anti-genocide and pro-Palestine protests in the last 2 years. He's done yeoman's work. So please keep an eye out for that. And if were there any more super chats or anything else that we needed before we close out?
Nope, we're all good.
Okay, and if you guys can, please sign up at statuscoup.com/join. And also you can find me on Substack. Sorry, you can find me on Bullhorn Bulletin on Substack as well if you're interested in my most recent work. So thank you guys so much for joining us.